Welcome to my channel, The World of Science Fiction. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. The grand hall of the Vorix Palace glowed like a world made of living gold. Rows of nobles watched from tall balconies as the queen stepped forward, her dark crystal crown shining with cold light. Queen Syraxis, ruler of 7 systems, carried the kind of presence that made even seasoned warriors tremble. Yet the man standing before her, Eric Vale, a lone human brought to her court after refusing to bow, did not tremble at all. He stood with quiet strength, his eyes holding a strange calmness that irritated her more than open defiance ever could. The nobles whispered cruel predictions, amused by the human's foolish courage. Syraxis lifted her hand, and the entire hall fell silent. "Human," she said, her voice echoing like a blade dragged across stone, "do you understand what you have done? In my empire, refusing to kneel is the same as declaring yourself above the throne." Eric gave a small, tired smile. "No," he said simply. "It means I'm equal to myself." A ripple of shock passed through the court. The queen's jaw tightened, and for a brief moment, something softer than anger flickered behind her violet eyes, something like curiosity. She quickly crushed it. No human would embarrass her in her own hall. She raised her hand again. "Korvek," she commanded. "My champion, step forward." General Korvek entered from the side doors, a giant compared to any human. His star iron armor clanked as he walked, and his spear crackled with blue energy. The nobles cheered when he appeared. Korvek bowed before the queen, then stared down at Eric as if measuring the quickest way to break him. "What is your will, Majesty?" the general asked. Syraxis did not look at Eric when she spoke. "Humiliate him. Show the Empire what becomes of those who challenge me. Let the galaxy remember his screams." Eric breathed out slowly, almost disappointed rather than afraid. Syraxis noticed the sound, and for the first time, a strange unease touched her spine. As guards escorted Eric and Korvek to the arena below, the queen followed with her court. She took her place at the highest seat, overlooking the white stone battlefield. The sky above was open, stars watching like silent witnesses. When the gong rang, Korvek attacked without hesitation. He charged like a meteor, his spear whistling through the air. The crowd roared, expecting a short, brutal ending. But Eric moved. He slipped past the spear with smooth precision. Korvek swung again, faster, angrier. Eric ducked, stepped aside, twisted his body just out of reach. His movements were quiet, clean, almost gentle. The nobles stopped cheering. Korvek attacked harder. Each strike carried the power to shatter bone. Each one missed. Eric watched him with unsettling calm, as if studying the rhythm of a song only he could hear. The queen leaned forward, gripping the arms of her throne. This wasn't normal. Humans were quick, yes, but not like this. Not with this confidence. When Korvek finally put all his strength into one killing thrust, Eric stepped directly toward it. Gasps echoed across the arena. Eric raised one hand and caught the spear just beneath the glowing tip. Korvek growled and pushed, muscles trembling. The spear didn't move. Eric tightened his grip and twisted. With a thunderous crack, the spear snapped in half. The sound silenced the entire arena. Nobody spoke. Korvek stared at the broken pieces, disbelief twisting his face. "You cannot," he whispered. Eric didn't answer. He stepped forward and delivered one sharp punch to Korvak's chest. The giant warrior flew back and crashed into the sand, unconscious. It was over. The storm of shock that followed spread through the crowd like fire. The queen rose slowly from her throne, the humiliation slicing through her like a blade. She had promised a broken human. Instead, her champion, the undefeatable Korvak, lay, ruined by bare hands. Before she could speak, the royal priest rushed forward, fear trembling in his steps. "Your Majesty," he said loudly, "you invoke the right of dominion." Syraxis narrowed her eyes. "What of it?" The priest swallowed. "When one is ordered to be humiliated and proves victorious instead, he is owed compensation equal to the insult given." Murmurs rippled through the court. The queen felt pressure tighten around her heart. "He may take land," she said quickly, "or rank, or gold." The priest shook his head helplessly. "Majesty, the insult came from you, and in the old form of the right, the ruler becomes the compensation." Every noble in the arena turned their eyes toward Eric. Syraxis felt her breath catch. No, not this. The law was ancient and sacred. Breaking it would collapse her empire from the inside. "Human," the priest said, voice trembling, "state your claim." Eric stood in the center of the arena, breathing gently, eyes quiet. He looked at the queen, not with arrogance, not with cruelty, but with a strange sadness. "I don't want your treasure," he said. "I don't want your armies." Syraxis clenched her fists. "Then what do you want?" For a moment, silence reigned. Then Eric spoke the words that shook an empire. "I claim the queen." Chaos erupted instantly. Angry shouts, disbelief, fear. Syraxis's heart slammed against her ribs. Her face felt hot and cold at the same time. To be claimed her by a human she had tried to break. The priest nodded with deep regret. "The law binds you, Majesty. The union must be formed." The queen wanted to rage, to tear down the laws themselves, but she could see the terror in her nobles' faces. If she broke the right, she would lose the throne. Slowly, stiffly, she walked down the steps toward Eric. Every step felt like walking through flames. When she reached him, they stood close enough that she could see the tiny fleck of silver in his dark eyes. He did not smirk. He did not boast. He only looked tired, almost gentle. "Is this revenge?" She whispered bitterly. "Making me your trophy?" Eric's voice was soft when he answered. "You're not a trophy. And this isn't revenge. This is consequence. You wanted to humiliate me so your people would see humans as nothing. Now they will see something very different." Something inside her chest twisted painfully at his words. Not anger exactly, but something deeper, something she didn't want to understand. The binding ceremony happened under starlight. Chains of living silver wrapped around their wrists, glowing with ancient magic. The priest recited the vows, voice shaking. Eric spoke quietly and clearly. Syraxis forced the words out, each one feeling more vulnerable than the last. When the ritual completed, the chain dissolved into both of their skins, leaving a faint glowing mark. A bond no power in the empire could break. After the ceremony, they stood alone on a balcony, overlooking the silent capital. Cool night air brushed past them. Syraxis kept her arms crossed, struggling with the storm inside her. "You have bound me to you," she whispered. "Are you satisfied?" Eric leaned on the railing, eyes on the distant city lights. "No," he said. "I'm not satisfied with chains. I don't want control over you." She looked at him sharply. "Then why claim me?" He turned his head and looked at her fully. She felt the weight of his gaze steady, unafraid, painfully honest. "Because the only way to stop your people from seeing humans as weak is to make them see something impossible," he said. "A queen bound by her own pride. A human strong enough to stand beside her. Not above. Not below. Beside." His words hit her like a quiet storm. She should have called him arrogant. She should have dismissed him. Instead, she whispered, "You are a strange man." "Maybe," he said softly. "But I didn't kill your champion. I didn't destroy your throne. I only answered what you began." She looked away, But her heart did something strange, something she had not felt in years. It ached, not from humiliation, but from the feeling of being seen, not as a ruler on a golden mount, but as a person behind the crown. "You could have asked for anything," she said quietly. "Why risk angering an entire empire by claiming me?" Eric stepped closer, slowly, leaving enough space for her to move away if she wished. She didn't. "Because somewhere under your pride," he said gently, "I think there is someone who deserves to be more than a title. And maybe you didn't expect someone like me to see that." Her breath caught. No noble had ever spoken to her like this. No warrior had dared to look at her with softness instead of fear. And no one not in her entire reign had ever made her feel this strangely human. She looked at him, truly looked at him, and for the first time, she wasn't looking at a prisoner or an enemy. She was looking at a man who had stood alone against her empire and refused to hate her even after she tried to break him. Something warm, something terrifying, something hopeful began to glow quietly inside her. Their bond was not born of love. Not yet. But something inside both of them knew this was the beginning of a story that could reshape everything. Slowly, without speaking, the queen allowed her hand to rest beside his on the railing. Not touching. Not yet, but near. Close enough to feel the warmth. Close enough to admit the truth she would never say aloud. She did not regret that he had claimed her. Not tonight. Not with the stars watching and the world silent. And Eric, seeing the small, fragile movement she made, felt something inside him soften in return. They stood together in the quiet night, two souls bound by pride, fate, and something neither of them fully understood yet. But it was real, and it was only just beginning. If you want the next chapter where their bond deepens, conflicts grow hotter, and romance turns powerful, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay with this channel for more HFY stories.